Something about Michio Kaku's demeanor was deeply disconcerting. This wasn't the spirited physicist who often energized television audiences with his lively explorations of cosmic enigmas. This time, his speech stumbled. His voice trembled. His eyes fixated too long on one image projected behind him. When he finally spoke, the packed auditorium, filled with scientists, historians, and journalists, descended into a silence that felt almost fearful. Initially, the presentation was framed as an update on lunar satellite findings. However, it transformed into a revelation that shook the core of human understanding. What they uncovered beneath the moon's surface was not natural at all. Kaku started with information that upended decades of established beliefs. Employing cutting-edge quantum deep imaging satellites, scientists examined the lunar subsurface with unprecedented clarity. Instead of the anticipated solid rock layers, they discovered enormous hollow cavities extending for hundreds of kilometers. These were not merely lava tubes or random voids. They were organized in symmetrical patterns, methodical, intentional, and deliberate. Thermal readings heightened the enigma. Localized heat signatures pulsed within these voids, their precision and stability beyond any natural explanation. Something inside the moon wasn't just constructed, it still functioned. A reactor? A mechanism? A monument? Kaku allowed the audience to ponder, as the evidence spoke for itself. Then he addressed the gravitational anomalies. For years, minor irregularities in the moon's gravitational pull had been dismissed as errors or measurement quirks. However, when mapped meticulously, they revealed an extensive grid stretching from pole to pole, perfectly aligning with the internal chambers and metallic signals detected through radar. This was no coincidence. It represented a framework, an unseen structure that maintained the moon's position with remarkable accuracy. If this grid was operational, it may have implications beyond stabilizing the moon. It could also influence Earth, our tides, our axis, and possibly the long-term rhythms necessary for life. The moon, as Kaku alluded, might not just be a passive satellite but a purposeful regulator. And if it was intentionally placed, then by whom? His voice grew weightier as he connected the evidence to ancient legends. Cultures from Sumer, Egypt, and the Maya described the moon not as a timeless fixture, but as a newcomer, an envoy. Myths recounted times before the moon, when nights were darker and sky beings visited from above. Until recent revelations, scholars regarded these myths as mere allegories. Yet, aligned with new findings, they began to resemble fragments of a constructed reality. Even eclipses, the perfect alignment of the moon and sun visible only from Earth, seemed less coincidental. Their ratios are so precise that the moon can completely obscure the sun, an event unique in our universe. Was it coincidence, or intentional design? Perhaps to draw attention or shape perception? If the moon influenced tides and human thought, then our very history might have been directed. The most unsettling evidence came from in-depth radar and high-frequency tomography. Beneath the lunar crust, reflective materials were discovered, metals that altered signals in inexplicable ways, alloys unaccounted for in known geology. Virtual stress simulations suggested these were not random deposits but engineered substances, casing and shielding built to endure eons of pressure. Kaku didn't explicitly state that the moon functioned as a machine. He didn't have to. The unspoken conclusion lingered. Something ancient, potent, and perhaps dormant resided within. Moonquakes, those enigmatic seismic echoes detected since Apollo, started to resemble vibrations from within, almost as if the moon was resonating. Yet the most eerie detail wasn't a recent discovery. It had been concealed in plain sight for years. During Apollo 12, NASA intentionally crashed a spacecraft stage onto the lunar surface to analyze its seismic response. What they recorded was unbelievable. The moon resonated like a bell, for almost an hour. Many had dismissed this at the time as an anomaly or curiosity. However, in light of current evidence, the findings appeared damning. Solid rock doesn't resonate like that. Not unless it is hollow and reinforced. Modern AI simulations confirmed what now felt inescapable. The moon's internal makeup differs from any known planetary structure. Either it is unlike anything found in nature, or it is not a planetary body at all. Subsequent Apollo missions echoed similar resonant signals, consistent and undeniable. The moon was more than Earth's companion, it was an instrument responsive and tuned. This leads to the most disquieting question. Who crafted this instrument, and why does it? Something about Michio Kaku's delivery that day felt notably different. The typically steady and ever-curious physicist appeared visibly shaken, with his voice reflecting the burden of something he believed the world might not be ready for. He disclosed that, for years, faint emissions had originated from the moon's far side, low-frequency bursts without any natural explanation. These were not merely random energy spikes or echoes of solar radiation. Instead, they occurred at precise intervals and specific coordinates, akin to signals timed to the moon's cycles. When advanced algorithms sifted through the noise, what appeared looked uncannily like coded sequences, patterns too organized to be of geological origin. Some researchers speculated that they resembled early computing languages, suggesting that the moon itself was attempting to communicate. It became impossible to dismiss the coincidence of these emissions spiking when probes passed behind it. Something lurking beneath that ancient crust might not only exist but could also possess awareness. However, the moon's puzzling emissions were merely the beginning. Kaku then addressed a mystery hiding in plain sight, its orbit. Every textbook informs us that the moon is tidally locked, permanently facing our planet. But how likely is such perfection? Its size, distance, and motion seamlessly create flawless eclipses, a cosmic display unparalleled in our solar system. Unlike other moons that exhibit wobbling, drifting, or irregularities, ours remains remarkably stable and its rotation eerily precise. The further one investigates, the less it appears to be mere chance. Kaku raised a chilling question. Was the moon designed not just for orbiting but for a purpose? Was it a mechanism for observation? A tool for regulation? Or something much more intentional? Then came the unsettling truth that many were reluctant to accept. Kaku referenced the silences and the missing fragments of history. Entire reels of Apollo telemetry data and astronaut communications mysteriously disappeared. Engineers claimed they were lost or accidentally recorded over. Yet insiders hinted at what was truly omitted. Reports of strange lights trailing the modules, otherworldly sounds resonating from beneath the lunar surface, and unexplained communication outages on the far side. Veterans from NASA, now in their twilight years, have recounted closed-door briefings and stringent orders to remain silent about their experiences. If there were nothing to conceal, why would so much effort be invested in erasing the record? Perhaps the truth was not merely awkward but also destabilizing. When Kaku finally stepped away from the podium, the silence that ensued was not one of awe but rather one of discomfort. It was the kind of silence that arises when everything we thought we knew feels suddenly wrong. For centuries, the moon has been our companion, a symbol of beauty and calm. But what if it is not as we believe? What if it was deliberately placed here, crafted, and continues to fulfill a purpose we can barely comprehend? From its hollow sounds to its extraordinary orbit, from ancient legends to omitted histories, the pieces of this puzzle no longer align with the narrative we were taught. If Michio Kaku, a man grounded in logic, equations, and empirical evidence, can no longer suppress his tears, perhaps we all should begin asking tougher questions. This inquiry transcends astronomy. It is about control, memory, and the unsettling possibility that something has been observing us since before history began. The moon has always loomed above us. But perhaps it hasn't always belonged to us.